A nice shot of record-breaking spring warmth before winter strikes back. The huge pattern change on the way, bringing a brief cool down and rain.
Happening now.
An attack on one of us is an attack on us all.
The new demands for Wake County school leaders to address concerns over immigration crackdown across the country. Then USAID turmoil here at home. Thousands of jobs and billions of dollars. What the shutdown of the agency could mean for North Carolina's economy. Now at 7, the temperature roller coaster continues today. Such a great day to be outside. Thanks for joining us. I'm Ashley Rowe.
And I'm Dan Haggerty. So temperatures, they climbed. They were up into the 80s today, breaking a 68-year-old record at RDU. Winter's not over yet, though, so temperatures are expected to dip. Rain coming too. Meteorologist Kat Campbell joining us from the Severe Weather Center, tracking out some timing for those showers, Kat.
Not only are we going to lose the 80s tomorrow, you get the 40s, so it's going to be a pretty chilly rain that we have likely tomorrow. 40s for tomorrow afternoon, and that is going to come with cloudy skies, some scattered rain. It should be on the lighter side, the rain that we see. Let's talk about the timing of it. Tomorrow morning when you wake up, it's going to be a cloudy start to the day. I really think that we'll be dry early in the day, but once we get past lunchtime, that's when we would have the better chance for some scattered light rain to develop in the area. It'll be patchy and on and off during the later afternoon and evening hours. But for the 5 o'clock commute, there is a chance for rain, that chance about 40% at that time. And we could see a few pockets of heavier rain that try to push in tomorrow night. Coming up, the rain clears out and then temperatures try to rebound. I'll let you know when we're likely to be back in the 70s again coming up.
Okay, Kat. Right now at 7, protecting students. Immigration advocates are demanding Wake County school leaders address concerns over the recent immigration crackdown happening across the country. School districts throughout central North Carolina released enforcement policies in the event that ICE agents arrive on campus.
WRAL's Aaron Thomas has been following these developments for us in the state's largest school district and joins us now from the Wake offices with what the discussion has been like. Aaron.
Yeah, this is still an ongoing discussion, Dan and Ashley, and even though Wake Schools has released its policy on how principals should handle the arrival of an ICE agent on campus, many advocates are wanting this school district to take a stronger stance. We can take you inside this meeting and show you what the presence was like. We saw several students and advocates, even families with the immigration status that made an appearance to speak before the board. Students and parents talked about their fears of ICE agents entering any school building. Now, Wake Schools current policy says that they will support the legal status of undocumented students, and they are able to deny access to ICE agents unless they have a federal judicial warrant in hand. But one advocate with the Education Justice Alliance questions the practices of ICE agents and wants a layer of added protection.
And if Wake School step up, have clarity and are clear with the community that they're not going to allow for violations of their rights, other school districts are going to follow. They have the opportunity to lead at these times.
And the school district does point back to a Supreme Court ruling from back in the 1980s that says that all students, regardless of their immigration status, has the right to a public education.
You know, they're also preparing for any possibility here. They mentioned what happens if ICE shows up with a warrant. What if they show up and they do so unannounced, Aaron?
Yeah, so the school district has actually laid all of this out in a policy. So let's say they approach any sort of a teacher or any sort of faculty member on campus. They're told to notify the principal of that school, who will then notify the superintendent of this school district, which is Dr. Robert Taylor. That person is actually supposed to be gathering some of the details, the ID and identification information from that ICE agent. But the school district says it does not plan on releasing any identifiable information as it relates to students. And there's no record of any sort of unannounced visits from ICE agents here in this school district.
Got it. Aaron Thomas reporting live for us tonight. Thank you, Aaron.
Well, this is the message that panicked some Nash County parents yesterday. It appears to be sent by the school district. It's warning about ICE raiding the schools. The district says this message is fake. A spokesperson says that they're working with the Nash County Sheriff's Office to find out where the message came from. The sheriff assured us that no widespread ICE raids are happening in Nash County. It still, though, has children on edge, especially those whose parents are immigrants.
I came here to the United States 24 years ago, and I work on my citizenship, and it just made me think of a lot of people I know they're trying to get their citizenship and how this is going to impact their children's education.
Nash County Public Schools is asking anyone within the school community who receives a message like this one to alert them as the investigation continues.
President Trump's ongoing freeze of the U.S. Agency for International Development is drawing protests tonight and some harsh condemnation from Democrats. Here in North Carolina, public health experts are warning that thousands of jobs and billions of dollars of economic impact are on the line here. WRAL's Eric Miller has the story.
Outside the Terry Sanford Federal Building Tuesday, this crowd giving the cold shoulder to President Trump. Protesters calling out both his cabinet picks and an ongoing funding freeze and stop work order at organizations including the U.S. Agency for International Development, the agency charged with delivering billions of dollars in humanitarian aid around the world.
He's shutting down the whole departments without any authorization to do so.
Trump and Elon Musk have argued U.S. aid is both wasteful and filled with fraud. Republicans, including the NCGOP, have applauded the move. In a statement, NCGOP spokesperson Matt Mercer wrote, "The stunning abuse of taxpayer dollars by U.S. aid must end." But public health experts like Brianna Clark-Schwell are pushing back.
I know that the people here in North Carolina in the humanitarian aid sector are really committed to working on behalf of the American people.
Clark-Schwell is executive director of the NC Global Health Alliance, which represents humanitarian groups and universities in North Carolina. Many of those organizations are recipients of the nearly $1 billion in U.S. aid dollars that come to North Carolina each year, the fourth most of any state.
That brings $32 billion in value to our state's economy. We employ 120,000 people across the state through global health alone.
At UNC Chapel Hill alone this year, the university has received more than $18 million in U.S. aid grants. That money going to a number of programs, including one tracking tuberculosis outbreaks around the world. In a statement, a university spokesperson confirmed UNC has received 9 stop work orders from USAID. The university is awaiting more information from federal agencies to determine the long-term impact on those programs and their staff. It's not clear when the funding freeze and stop work order for U.S. aid will be lifted, but NBC News reports on Monday Elon Musk argued the entire agency should be shut down permanently.
And Brianna Clark-Schwell also argues the longer this funding freeze drags on, the more likely furloughs and layoffs are for people whose employment is tied to those U.S. aid dollars. In Raleigh, Eric Miller, WRAL News.
A push to loosen restrictions on concealed firearms and a warning from Garner Police. Here are 5 things you should know right now. Republicans have a win in their attempt to throw out more than 60,000 people's ballots from the 2024 elections. In the race for a key state Supreme Court seat, Democratic Justice Allison Riggs appeared to defeat Republican Jefferson Griffin. But Griffin wants 60,000 ballots tossed. He says he'll wind up the winner if that happens. Riggs wants the case heard in federal court. Griffin wanted it in state court. Turns out Griffin has won that part of the lawsuit, with the federal appeals court today putting the case into state courts for now. North Carolina lawmakers are pushing to loosen the state's gun laws. Senate leader Phil Berger is sponsoring a new bill to allow anyone 18 years or older to carry a concealed handgun in public without having to go through a state approval system. Berger opposed a similar bill just last year. The law enforcement agencies have spoken out against previous proposals. The North Carolina Sheriff's Association says it needs more time to review this year's bill before taking a stance.
Garner police are saying break-ins are on the rise and thieves are targeting cars that are left unlocked. Last week, a man's car was stolen from his driveway minutes after going to bed. Police found the car hours later. There it is, after the suspect crashed it and ran from the scene. The suspects in this case are still out there on the run. Garner police say this is one of several car break-ins reported over the last couple of weeks. They say if you see anything suspicious, you should give them a call. Some restaurants are increasing their prices to offset the rising cost of eggs, like the Waffle House, a place that serves a lot of eggs. They're adding a 50-cent surcharge per egg. This is driven in large part by a widespread bird flu outbreak. North Carolina has the third highest number of bird flu cases in the country. A small supply is leading to higher prices.
The former Kmart lot on Western Boulevard will soon be the space for businesses, entertainment, even places to live. The real estate company City Plat bought the property for $14 million a few weeks ago. Developers plan to gut the entire area and prepare it for several businesses. They say it will be similar to North Hills or Fenton, but on Western Boulevard. City Plat aims to have businesses open by the end of next year.
As you know, we like to include you in our conversations here at 7 o'clock. So coming up, we're going to share some of your feedback on last week's On the Record on property taxes in our mailbag right after the break.
And new Amazon delivery vans promise zero emissions and cutting-edge technology. But are they enough to make a difference? We'll take you inside coming up.
All right, welcome back. Let's dig into the in-depth mailbag. Yes, we usually do this on Monday, but I actually don't have a good excuse. We're just a little bit late. Here's one from Paul. Hi, Dan. Love your segment. Thanks for your honest and informative perspective on the issues. This is exactly what I'm going for. So thank you to Paul. I want these segments to be informative, and I'm always going to be honest with you. But you notice he used that word perspective there. Viewers are always looking for bias, as you should be. Every reporter, every person has one. It exists in every single story that you see or read. Look, when I was in journalism school, we were tested on script writing. The professor would give us a list or a series of facts and then say, hey, go and write a story. Every single story from every student was always written differently, with the same facts, just in a different order or with different emphasis. A good story should make you feel informed, but leave you curious. That's why I always ask for your questions. And here's a question I got from Casey about last week's On the Record that we did on property tax. He said, I just moved here from Illinois, where a disabled veteran's property tax burden is forgiven completely. I understand there's a provision here in North Carolina for forgiveness against 40% of the home's current value. Considering the veteran population of North Carolina, especially down here near Fort Liberty, is there any traction on the state enhancing the tax laws for disabled veterans? So as Casey mentioned, disabled veterans can get a property tax break in North Carolina, but it's not a total exemption. His numbers were a little bit off, so let's go into the details here. According to the state, the exemption can only apply to the first $45,000 of your assessed real property value. Now, to some people, that's a lot. To some people, it's not. It kind of depends on your perspective. In a county like Wake County, where the median home price just went up again to more than $484,000, that tax savings could seem marginal. He mentioned Illinois offering much more, and he's right. There are more than a dozen states out there that offer ways for disabled veterans to waive 100% of their property taxes, and that includes our neighbors to the north and south. Some disabled veterans can be 100% exempt in Virginia and South Carolina. And last year, South Carolina actually expanded property tax exemptions to make it a bit easier for veterans and their surviving spouses to apply. Now, North Carolina lawmakers have tried to expand the exemptions here many times. 2017, 2019, 2022, 2023. They try little things like adding 10 grand to the exemption. Some try to expand the number of veterans who are eligible. Other bills do try for that full 100% exemption, and all of them have failed. If you have some more questions about this, let me know. Lastly, I got an email from a viewer named Brian who said, my daughter, who is 8, watches your segment often. She wants to write you a letter with her questions about the news. Do you have a mailing address at the studio? So let's end tonight's mailbag with an actual piece of mail from 8-year-old Cassie. She says, Dear Dan, how do you get your news investigations? And why do you like being a reporter? Thank you, Cassie. Well, Cassie, I work with a team, and we watch a lot of news. And whenever we get confused by a story that's being told or have a lot of questions about something that the media is reporting, we'll start digging into it. And sometimes we find stuff that's really, really interesting. Also, as you can tell, we get a lot of emails. And those messages help me to see where I might be missing something important or where a lot of people out there might be missing something important. But ultimately, It boils down to one very important trait. We're curious. I always have been. That's why I love reporting. They pay me to be curious. It's pretty nice. I have 2 8-year-old sons who ask me questions all day long. They're curious too, just like you. That's why you wrote the letter, right? Hold on to that. Trust me. Then again, that's just my perspective. So to all you curious people out there from 8 to 88, you can be older than that too. Let me know, what do you think the local news should be covering? Send me an email to dan@WRAL.com. Tell me what's on your mind, and we'll go in depth.
This is Brian Schrader in the WRAL Live Center. We are monitoring that joint press conference between President Donald Trump and Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu. And just moments ago, President Trump said, quote, the U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip and we will do a job with it, too, saying that the U.S. would level it out and create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs for the people of that area. A developing story that we're going to track through the evening. Much more coming up on WRAL News at 10 on Fox 50. Now, the other big story we are tracking right now, some video coming in from viewers of that SpaceX launch. It launched from Kennedy Space Center about an hour ago, and it was widely visible all across our viewing area. This was the scene from Edgecombe County. Cameron sent in this video, and you can see that rocket there in the distance. This is from Cary. Ryan Axmere, thanks for sending that in. And then the plume afterward, illuminated by the sun there in Dunn. Don't forget, whenever you have any video you'd like to share with us, go to WRAL.com/report it.
Thank you very much. And Kat, it looks like you've got a cool picture of your own from Report It.
Oh yeah, we got so many. We're so excited people were able to go outside and see the rocket launch. So this is the actual rocket launch that you see right here. That's what most people saw, and Ryan showed you a lot of close-ups of it. But I just want to show the plume from the rocket launch. This is a really unique and cool view sent in from Clayton. So thank you so much to Kip Steely for sharing this with us. A great shot, the way the sun illuminated the smoke there. So let's take a look at tomorrow. Now for the bad news. We had 80 today. Tomorrow afternoon, we're only going to be in the mid-40s, perhaps upper 40s. It'll be cloudy, and we've got some rain in the forecast tomorrow. Just that kind of annoying light rain in the forecast on and off during the afternoon and evening hours. Well, it'll be more of a drizzle out there, but there could be some pockets of heavier rain, especially as we get into tomorrow night. Even then, it's definitely not a drought-busting rain. Rain chances start to ramp up afternoon, evening. There's likely to be some rain on the radar for the evening commute tomorrow. And once we get closer to midnight, that's when we could see some of these pockets of perhaps some heavier rain try to push through the area overnight. And a few lingering showers are possible early in the day on Thursday as well. So a heads up, Thursday starts out gray, but there could be some improvements later on. As for how much rain we could see, it's probably going to be less than 1/4 of an inch. If you're lucky, you may pick up 1/4 of an inch, but most of us are looking at about 1/10 of an inch of rain. The reason why we're so much cooler, we've got that wedge of cold air, the cold air damming setup where all the cold air pulls up against the mountains and we just get stuck under the cold air, the clouds, and the drizzle and mist. This is a pattern that's somewhat unique to North Carolina for us. 50 degrees is technically our high tomorrow. That's actually going to happen at midnight. And then the front tries to lift to the north during the day Thursday. Models today, and our most trustworthy model in this specific setup, is actually not showing it really able to push as far north. And that's why we've lowered highs. We're going 66 in Raleigh, upper 60s in Fayetteville. We may struggle to get there. This is really going to have to do with the placement of the front and cloud cover, and it's going to be one of those days where we could see a big temperature difference just in our viewing area. So just a heads up, Thursday is going to be a bit tricky. Here's what you need to know. Today we were in t-shirts. Tomorrow you need a coat, perhaps a raincoat would kill 2 birds with 1 stone. And then Thursday we're kind of in the in-between zone, so I would opt for long sleeves on Thursday. A little bit of everything coming up this week. Over the next 7 days, we see temperatures rebound in time for Friday. Friday looks good, 71, partly cloudy. Saturday, a bit of a dip down, more clouds. Super Bowl Sunday, 76 degrees. That will come with a small chance for rain late Sunday into Sunday night. Next week, a completely different story. Much cooler air coming our way, and that'll come with quite a bit of moisture as well.
Oh, okay. So we enjoyed today, and we'll enjoy a couple more days. Thanks, Kat.
Going electric. EV vans are going to start dropping off Amazon packages to your porch. And next, we're going to give you an inside look at the high-tech vehicles and the newest delivery station in Raleigh. More Amazon packages are getting delivered in electric vehicles, including here in Raleigh.
More than 100 electric vehicles are rolling out of one of the city's delivery stations. Nationwide, there are over 20,000, and the company plans to have 100,000 electric vans on the road by 2030. The vans are made by Rivian and come with 360-degree cameras, adaptive braking, and climate-controlled cabins, all designed to make deliveries safer and more efficient.
Yeah, I think it's very important, tying it back to the climate pledge. We want to do what's good for our community, our people, and the planet. So I think, one of those ways is rolling out these electric delivery vehicles, and I think overall it's very beneficial.
Amazon says these vans are part of its goal to reach net zero emissions by the year 2040. To power them, the company has installed more than 24,000 chargers at delivery stations across the U.S. Amazon has also expanded its electric fleet in Europe and says more models are in the works, including vans with AI to speed up deliveries. That sounds kind of creepy.
Interesting.
Today is Rosa Parks' birthday. She would be 112 years old.
In her honor, February 4th has been named Transit Equity Day. Celebrates her courage and persistence to fight to make a more equitable public transit system for all Americans. Go Raleigh reserved a seat for Rosa Parks at the front of every one of their buses today.
Other area bus services are also participating. Go Triangle is honoring Parks all week by reserving a seat at the front of every bus, every one of their buses. Thank you for making WRAL your choice for local news.
Our next newscast is at 10 o'clock on Fox 50, and we'll see you back here on WRAL tonight at 11.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.